Another one, window pane test, right? When and what is a window pane test? Now, the one time that I have found it valuable to do a window pane test was when I was making whole wheat, 100% whole wheat loaf, which is completely different from the typical all-purpose loaf that we teach you how to make when it comes to the 10-minute sourdough made easy method. Now, the window pane test is when you are kneading the dough. You're going to be doing enough dough work and kneading the dough until you can pull up a piece of dough and stretch it and have it stretch out to the point where it becomes almost translucent like a window pane, right? Normally, if you haven't done enough work the dough, again, this is like with 100% whole wheat type of recipe where the gluten structure of that dough has to be built up enough to counteract all of the sharp shards of fiber that are left in the dough that normally get sifted out when it comes to an all-purpose flour, right? So much easier to work with an all-purpose flour. So you're going to be kneading that dough enough to build, or allowing the machine, right, if you've got a mixer, to knead the dough enough, and you're going to be periodically pulling out pieces and stretching it to see how well it stretches. Now, why does it matter how well it stretches? Well, if it can stretch without breaking with your hands, then you know it will stretch without breaking when the dough is rising and it's catching the air bubbles, the CO2 that are put off from the sourdough starter when it's going through and eating all of the good stuff that it likes to eat. That air that's being produced needs to be caught. And so if you can stretch it and break it with your hands, you know that the air will stretch it and break it, and that's what causes the dough to then collapse, right? So you would do with a 100% whole wheat type recipe or super high, whole grain type recipe, you're going to want to knead that dough to the point where you can stretch it to a window pane as an indicator that it will hold in the air and therefore hold its shape and rise when you're letting it ferment and when it's cooking and doing the oven spring in the oven, right? To ensure you've developed enough proper gluten structure, okay? So for those of you who don't want to just have store-bought all-purpose flour, simple, easy bread to make with a 10-minute sourdough made easy method, I would say if you're doing the kind of whole grains or much higher percentage of whole grains, then you might want to do extra kneading until you get to a window pane in order to make sure that your dough is its structure, right?